and Lords podcast.
Welcome to the Lord's Minute, our quick hit video series where we cover all the biggest happenings in gaming and beyond. I'm your host, Ty Swinson, writer for Lords of Gaming, and with me today, once again, is Lord King. Shang-Chi has dominated the box office for the third weekend in a row, now grossing over $300 million worldwide. It seems to be on the path to eclipse Black Widow's box office earnings. Lord King, how are we feeling about the Ten Rings?
Well, we all know that it's a new IP origin film, and just to go against the Black Widow.
Right.
Okay, so the Black Widow is a character that we already know about, and anybody that's steeped in the MCU history right now, we know that she no longer is with the MCU as far as the character goes. So we don't know if she's stuck in the Soul Gem. We don't know if she's stuck on Velmore. We don't know if she's actually dead. They don't know, and they left it up in the air on purpose, so that character can be explored later on. Shang-Chi, it's a new property and it does everything perfectly. I thought the Black Widow had a lot of problems, especially with timing. So, and the fact that it was released on Disney Plus. So
Right.
when it did that, it took away from the box office at the time. Timing means everything in this business. And Shang-Chi is at the proper time where all movies was either forced to be open, or a lot of companies, studios and movie houses were tired of the COVID and was like, we're gonna have to risk it all. And Disney was available with this movie. And I thought the movie was probably the second best, in my opinion, origin film.
Right.
So word of mouth actually perpetuated it. People that weren't familiar with the character went on with the word of mouth. Now, those people that are casual just wanted to know if it was a good film. And I think right now in cinema, it's probably the best film that you can get for the bang for your buck. As far as story-wise, fun family night, action-packed situation. It's really woman empowering. It's men empowering. It's a very rich film that is something for everyone is there. So I can see people going back watching it multiple times, and that will draw a revenue charge and push it forward. So I actually expected it to do this. I want to see the worldwide sales as far as foreign sales,
Right.
because I understand that there's a contingent that doesn't want the film there, and I understand what that may lead to and why, because they had protests before the film and while the film was being made. So I expect them to be cantankerous when it comes to allowing the film onto their shores, because if the film is on their shores and shows to be a success, then that means all that protesting and stuff like that was in vain, to be honest with you. And that's not my culture. So again, myself looking in, I thought they nailed it. I thought they nailed the character itself. And I thought they did enough to establish what the 10 rings were, that they were alien in nature. So they stayed true to the comic book nature of it. And it was a well-written love story. And again, the same thing that Marvel is doing with the villain, making him a sympathetic person that you can actually identify with. So when he does get to his moment, and this is spoiler free, when he does get to his moment, you can identify with the reasonings behind a lot of his logic, and you just actually can put yourself in the villain's shoes. And I'm thinking Marvel / Disney has done very well with this tactic that they've been using very often with a lot of their movies at this point.
Right. Shang-Chi was a very great film. I thought it had all the things you could want in a great movie. Great shots, great fighting scenes, character development, costuming, scenery, plot. And it's also a great win for representation when it comes to comic books being put on the live screen. And a lot of people who may not have known Shang-Chi that well beforehand, now are in love with the character in the movie, thanks to the Marvel Disney team and Simu Liu. And it seems that Marvel, the MCU, has had this knack so far for heroes that were less known previously, or like B-rated heroes, now becoming overwhelmingly popular with the success of their origin slash solo films. And
Yes.
in a Q3 earnings call, it was interesting that Bob Chapek referenced the film release as an experiment.
Hmm.
Whether or not that was in regards to, instead of the simulcast release with the premiere Disney Plus in the theaters, or just the type of genre feel they were going for the movie.
I,
Um,
I
Go
think
ahead.
he was not misquoted, but misunderstood.
Okay.
And I think that and that being misunderstood in the language of his words led to a lot of comments being thrown out at the end of that.
True.
And as far as experiments going, the experiment of the whole project itself is very different. The same way the experiment of the Black Panther was very different. Had those
Mm-hmm.
same words been used with the Black Panther, would have been taken out of context? I believe so. So
Mm-hmm.
the fact that, um people are trying to attach some type of negative continuity to it, I really don't think that that's necessary. I believe that when he says anything that you traditionally don't have a Caucasian lead, you traditionally don't have a Caucasian staff cast, there is a bit of trepidation because you don't know, is it enough of a fan base there to generate sales? And I understand it from a business aspect. When you're looking at those numbers, that is a bit of an experiment. We have never done a movie like this in this vein, and I know people will point to Mulan, all right, but
Mm-hmm.
I want people to understand Mulan was an established property that already built a fan base, and what they did was turn it from a cartoon to a live action. So
Right.
they already cultivated that whole fan base that is well versed with the characters, well versed with the movie, and they wanted to see it in live action. This is a brand new IP with a whole different set of hurdles that it had to overcome, and that in itself is an experiment. So instead of people holding on to that word experiment, I
Mm-hmm.
think they should understand, maybe if he would have said a journey, or we're on a different journey or something like that, change the word around so to make it more palatable. But
Mm-hmm.
it is eye-opening again in this day and age that we have to mind every last little word so it's not harmful excuse me, to each and every last person. And I really just thought it was like taken out of context, to be honest with you.
Very true. Very well said. And lastly, with when the dust finally settles on Shang-Chi, as we are ramping up this next phase of the MCU, we still have movies left to come out this year. We've had great shows on the Disney Plus side, and more multiverse experimentation with the MCU. With keeping everything spoiler free, where do you see Shang-Chi, or hope to see him, in terms of how he relates to the Avengers team when we eventually get the next big Avengers crossover movie?
Well, I don't really think he's going to be in the Avengers team. I
Okay.
think he's going to be a part of the Marvel Knights, which he is a part of a Marvel Knights. You would see him with Blade. You would see him with Moon Knight. You would see him with Iron Fist. You would see him with Power Man. You would see him with Ghost Rider. You would
Hmm.
see him with street level characters. I know you saw him do some kami stuff and some mystical stuff, but again, he doesn't control the 10 rings anymore.
Right.
So the fact that he doesn't control the 10 rings anymore, and he's just a hand-to-hand combating guy who actually has the powers of his mother, to an extent, the powers of the dragon, to an extent, not like Iron Fist, where he can actually channel the powers of Kunlun and actually use the Iron Fist in as form of a weapon. He himself is a weapon. Iron Fist is the living weapon. With that weapon, and you have Moon Knight, which is a very, very capable hand-to-hand combatant
Hmm.
character with himself, and you have Blade that's there. So You have Doctor Strange that's in that whole trifecta of it. I
Mm,
think they're going to explore the whole mystical, the whole darkness, the whole ground level of it with the Marvel Knights. Everybody thinks Shang-Chi is going to be an Avengers. The Avengers team is going to go in a whole different direction, in my opinion.
mhm,
After we get this Eternals film, we'll see a little bit more into that. But no, he's not a cosmic being. He's not a person that can take on Thanos. He doesn't have a vibranium suit where he
mhm.
can actually, takes Proxima Midnight or somebody like that on. And I know people will say Black Widow did the same thing and she doesn't have those powers. Again, she was helped out. If you keep watching the film, watch the films. But trust me, he's not going to be an Avenger, but he's going to lead a Marvel Knights team, will be really good.
That'll be very exciting. And again, another different journey that the MCU really hasn't taken that
Yes,
much. So I'm excited to see it.
I
But this
can't
has
wait.
been the Lord's Minute. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at lordsofgaming.net. I'm Ty Swinson here with Lord King, and this has been the Lord's Minute.
Peace.